Thank you. And I yield myself such time as I may consume.
Gentleman from California is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, in closing, this legislation is a combination of two well-thought-out compromises. First of all, the Fraud Enforcement and Recovery Act, in fact, is going to take the place of a piece of legislation that was far more reaching and, in my opinion, overreaching that passed out of judiciary just this past week. In fact, by making this narrower, what we do is we help the whistleblowers and those who would support them, while not going so far as to cripple the legitimate enforcement by cities and states and the right for them to discover waste, fraud, and abuse themselves, make those corrections without seeing both punitive fines and perhaps 30% going to plaintiffs' trial lawyers. The fact is, Mr. Speaker, this narrowing is a good compromise coming from the Senate, and I want to thank all of those in both parties who worked on this. I think it makes moot the legislation that was passed out of judiciary. Secondly, another compromise, and one that I want to speak to, this 9/11 style commission, something that, as you could see, many people on both sides of the aisle, on both sides of the Capitol, thought was necessary. And over the last period of months, we have seen the Speaker of the House go from not supporting and supporting only that her committee chairman do the work, to supporting the concept of a House committee, to then a House-Senate committee, and finally, I believe today, support for something that gets it almost right. Mr. Speaker, I believe that on the third anniversary of the 9/11 Commission, we should begin looking at, or nearing the third anniversary, we should begin looking at what we did on the 9/11 Commission. I'm sorry, thank you. In 2007, on the third anniversary, Speaker Pelosi praised the bipartisan independent commission for its work, calling the recommendations made by the commission urgent and achievable, and in fact, speaking to its bipartisan nature. So this year, as we pass legislation to make a similar type commission to deal with the meltdown last year in our markets, I would call on Speaker Pelosi to help make the balance right. As was previously stated, based on the current nominating system, in the ordinary course, this would end up being a 6-4 split and be questioned by the American people as to whether or not it was democratically led and democratically dominated. The Speaker has the ability, with her 3 appointments, to make this right, either by appointing 1 Republican and 1 Democrat, or in this case 2, or I might suggest that even if she cannot find a Republican appropriate to be appointed from her allocation, that she could look to an independent or somebody independent of party politics. I have previously supported, when asked, Sandra Day O'Connor, a retired justice, or somebody of her stature who rises well above party politics, who may be considered to have some Republican background, but who clearly, in the eyes of the American people, would be a consensus builder, able to look for the truth and look for compromise so as to reach the consensus, not a majority decision, but a consensus of this commission, as in almost every case, I believe in every case, the 9/11 Commission did. I understand that this bill is the best bill we can get here today, and I intend to vote for it, support it, and urge my colleagues to support it. Not because I don't believe it should be above party politics and should be a 5-5 split, but because this is so much better than nothing at all, and because I believe that the Speaker has it within her appointment powers to make this a perfectly good commission, one that we can all be proud of, and one that lives up to exactly what Speaker Pelosi asked for when the shoe was on the other foot after September 11th, when we were looking at the need to get above party politics. We were looking to find people of stature to appoint. So with that, Mr. Speaker, I hope my suggestions over and above my support for this legislation will be heeded, and I yield back the balance of my time.